Hello and welcome to Wines of the World. My name is Anthony Metzger. I'm a winemaker and certified sommelier. Here at Wines of the World, I interview winemakers from all over the planet. I conduct my interviews via Skype and record them live so that I can bring you face to face with winemakers from all over the world. So without further ado, please enjoy the show. So Andrea, welcome to the show, Wines of the World. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So you're a winemaker, a traveling winemaker. What countries have you traveled to and made wine?
I moved to Virginia. I did a couple harvests there, and I went over to New Zealand. I worked in South Africa for a little bit, and back to Canada, up in British Columbia. Did a couple harvests, and then down to California, over in Germany, and now I'm headed back up north to Canada.
Nice. So speaking of Germany, you actually just finished a harvest there.
Yeah.
And you're just getting back. You're still not even back again. You know, you're in the hotel room still. But tell me, what was it like being in Germany? I mean, tell us about your experiences there, because you showed up. There was an international team of winemakers, and you all just met each other for the first time and made some wine. So I'm sure there was a lot of good memories and stuff. So tell us about your experiences in Germany.
Yeah, Germany was really cool, actually. It was by far the most different
Really?
all the other vintages.
Also,
It's like wine is such a part of the history and the culture there in a way I hadn't really experienced in all of my New World harvests. So,
sure.
my favorite part about it was how harvest kind of brought everyone together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be sitting in the receival area watching the tractors come in, and one minute there's a kid driving the tractor who couldn't possibly be old enough to drive,
Yeah.
and next tractor comes in, and it's the president of the company.
Oh, wow.
So I just thought that was really cool.
Very nice. What would you do in Germany, like, in your spare time? Like, if you're not in the winery, but, like, Friday night before the harvest, you meet these people for the first time that just you guys all show up here at this winery in Germany, meet each other first time. What do you guys do, for fun on, like, a Friday night before harvest?
Yeah, well, Germany for me was a wonderful opportunity to travel.
Sure.
Right there in Central Europe, and so many cool places were just a bus or a flight away. So we actually went away a lot of the weekends, and I got to experience a lot of different cultures, a lot of different cities. So that was really amazing.
What about New Zealand and South Africa? What were those two vintages like? Because both Southern Hemisphere, but I mean, I'm sure there's some differences there. What's kind of the difference between South African wines and the New Zealand wines?
My experiences there were very different. My experience in New Zealand was basically at a big winery in Marlborough. So I think 98% of our production was Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh yeah, a lot of white wines.
Yeah, exactly. So, very much kind of a wine factory there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And there, my experience was kind of more focused on the people that I met.
Okay.
I met some fantastic people. I think we had 50 interns for harvest, and
Wow.
I've kept in touch with half of them.
Nice.
We keep running into each other all around the world. In fact, a couple who had met during the harvest have just gotten married this summer, and they're now running their own winery in Germany.
Really? And they met in New Zealand?
They met at harvest in New Zealand.
Wow,
so
crazy.
It was a really unique experience in that way.
Sure.
South Africa for me was very different. I didn't work in the traditional sort of South African wine region. I was up in KwaZulu-Natal province, and we're actually
where is that in the country?
It's up north a bit, so it's just east of Durban.
Okay.
Between Joburg and Durban.
Sure.
and it was actually the only winery in the province.
Oh, wow.
I was working there, so
Well, that's kind of cool too, though.
yeah. And I think the craziest thing about it was, this is probably my craziest harvest because um, South Africa, anyone who's been there will notice there's a lot of barbed wire, electric fences, that sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
It's a crime problem. Well, we had that too at the winery, but what I learned very quickly was it wasn't in place for the people. It was actually entirely there to keep the monkeys out. We had these like troops of green monkeys that would just come through the vineyard, snatch clusters off vines, eat one berry, and throw it away. So I actually spent half of my time in the vineyard chasing monkeys with a paintball gun.
Really? With a paintball gun?
That was
That'd be fun.
South Africa, yeah.
So it's almost like the bird problem in America. We get those big flocks of birds that'll come through and pick away at the grapes, but they got the monkey problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Everyone's got their own issues, for sure.
If you could go off and make wine, where's like the next harvest you'd like to do? If you could go make wine anywhere in the world, where would you like to go and make some wine?
Well, I'm on my way up to Ontario, which is actually where I come from, and I've never worked a harvest there, so I think it's a time. Yeah,
yeah, right. Bring home your world experiences of making wine.
Exactly.
So from your travels, because you obviously traveled a lot and made wine, what's like the one kind of story that surprised you or kind of shocked you the most from all of your travels and making wine, or your favorite story, or just one of your best memories from all your travels and making wine?
My experience in New Zealand, just meeting so many people from all around the world. That was really my first experience, kind of working with an international crew and being able to develop these relationships. It's like I've got someone to visit on any part of the planet.
Sure.
I just think that's awesome. The way people stay in touch and the way they support each other. It's a great industry for that. I think it's something really unique to the wine industry, and that's special.
Sure. Yeah, because it's well said, because even in school when I was studying wine, my professor was saying, it's a people industry. It's not really a sales industry. It's, even though it is a lot of things, but at the top of it, it's all people-based and relationship-based. So
yeah, absolutely.
That matches it. And same thing when I was doing a harvest overseas, I'd show up there and it's all these different people from all over the world. I think we had 10 different people from 10 different countries. And, all of a sudden you're sitting there at the table and you got all these people from different backgrounds and you're just kind of like, in that moment, hearing from people from Africa, from New Zealand, Australia, Northern Europe, the Americas. So really cool to be able to go and travel and just be in with these people that are from all over the world and get their different perspectives. I mean, that's really cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say one more thing. The best thing about it, I think, was, when you actually visit some of your friends in their home country, and they show you around like locals would. I mean, that's a really really rare experience, and you kind of have those opportunities sort of spread about the planet and you learn how wine is made all around the world, which is really cool. It's something amazing to be able to bring that home and kind of work with tips and tricks you've learned.
So another thing I do on this show is I ask scenario questions. What kind of wine would winemakers drink in certain scenarios? You're in Canada, you're going off on like a duck hunting trip, and you're going with your friends and some family, and you're going to go...
Scenario?
Yeah, probably popular scenario, I'm sure, in Canada. And you're going to go on a duck hunting trip, and you bag a bunch of ducks, and then you're going to have like a game feast where you're going to serve all the duck with your friends and family. What kind of wine would you serve in that scenario?
Well, there's a couple different ways you could go with duck, for sure. I think classic pairings would be kind of Pinot Noir or Syrah.
Okay.
I think, I'd probably go with Hermitage, or, rather, I think I'd go with a Côte Rôtie.
Côte Rôtie? And that's a French wine.
It's a French wine. It's typically 100% Syrah. and I think it would stand up to the likely gaminess of the fresh killed duck. Maybe something a little bit kind of biodynamic or something like that.
Sure.
Just keeping with the nature theme.
Yep. What kind of wine would you drink in a celebration like New Year's that isn't champagne?
That isn't champagne.
Yeah.
I still love sparkling wine.
Yeah.
I just that speaks celebration to me. But you're right, it doesn't always have to be champagne. Sure. For instance, I just came from the UK, and they've got a fantastic sparkling wine scene going on there, and we tried a number of different bottles, and I was really impressed.
On the show I always end with the same question, and that is, if you could drink a bottle of wine with anybody on earth or anybody from history, who would you drink a bottle of wine with?
Well, that's easy. My grandma.
Your grandma?
Yeah. Priscilla Curtis Beach. I would give anything for, a couple of hours of her time, and certainly her opinion on a wine, good or bad.
What wine would you have with her if you could have any wine from history or any wine in the world?
I think I'd go with the Burgundy.
Okay.
I've heard 1937 was the best year ever for Burgundy. And some of those DRCs are still holding up. So,
wow.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not go with that? And if the wine was off, at least I'd love to hear her opinion of that too.
Nice. Well, I think that wraps it up for the questions. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or did we cover all the bases?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks for having me on. This was a real pleasure. Pleasure speaking to you, meeting you, and you got a great website going. So I'm looking forward to watching more interviews.
Well, best of luck with your future adventures. All right, thanks, Andrea.
Talk to you soon.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Wines of the World. Make sure you check in next week, as I will be interviewing another winemaker. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask a winemaker during any of my interviews, just reach out to me through my social media accounts, which you can find on my website, winesoftheworld.info. Be sure to check my website tomorrow and every single day of this week, as I will be releasing some really fun, interesting wine stories. Thank you, and please be sure to subscribe.